thank you so much for asking the question, Julia. Our next question is going to be asked by Dr. Jennifer Baxter. She is another person who really keeps stuff moving on the coast. And when I say stuff, I mean the COVID medical response. People I have talked to within the medical system on the coast have praised her since day one of this pandemic. So I'm really happy that we can welcome Dr. Jennifer Baxter to our conversation. And over to you.
Thank you so much. You're far too generous. It has been 7 months now since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization. What specific concerns have been brought forward to you by local community members that, if elected, you would seek to address first? And what do you see as important when it comes to recovering from the effects of the pandemic?
And this question is for Sandra first.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, some of the issues that I've learned of since the COVID pandemic hit us is fear. Am I going to be okay? Isolation. Staying in our little bubbles, especially at the very outset when we really were afraid to go outside, even afraid to go, to go shopping. I think some of the mixed messages coming from the federal government, much less so from our provincial health officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, who I have amazing respect for. But there were mixed messages about, should we be wearing a mask when we're in public? What size? How? There were just so many questions and so much insecurity around how we were supposed to be behaving in order to avoid getting the virus. A week or so ago, I got a copy of a letter sent to me that was signed by about 37 spouses of people that are in a long-term care facility here on the coast, very heartfully complaining about how frustrated and hurt they are about their inability to visit and care for their loved ones that are in long-term care homes. These spouses would come in and help with brushing teeth and feeding and combing hair and giving people hugs, and they're not allowed in. In one case, one individual is allowed one visit once a week, and they're really suffering because of that. And I just find that we have to be able to find ways to be able to provide quality of life as well as protecting people in long-term care facilities. Certainly the ability of businesses to survive during the COVID epidemic, as particularly when businesses were completely shut down, is a real concern. I think that there needs to be some bridge financing to help those businesses get back on their feet. And that should be happening now, which leads me to my bugbear that we shouldn't be in this election right now. Government should be there helping those businesses and those people right now. I must say once again that I feel that Dr. Bonnie Henry has shown exceptional leadership. Stay calm, stay kind, stay apart. It really has resonated with people, and I think she's changed our behavior. She's made us a lot more patient and a lot more caring about one another. And I think that, that's one of the positive aspects of our experience through the vaccine or through the pandemic. And I would say that one thing that I would be very supportive of is free vaccines for everyone once a vaccine is available, and real clarity around the administration of that vaccine, how people get access to it, are there priorities, who goes first, what are the implications of getting the vaccine. I think that that's a real priority to get that sorted and do that in a really equitable and fair and efficient way. And my time is up. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And thank you once again to Jennifer Baxter for asking that question.
Are you going to let me answer?
I think I will. Sorry about that, Kim.
Thanks. I keep you on your toes, Matt. Just like
yes,
when I was coaching baseball.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah. So thanks for that question. As many of you know, I was running in the leadership contest for the BC Green Party. I announced my candidacy, and then 5 days later, the World Health Organization declared a pandemic. And it changed everything. In fact, it seems like so long ago and yet not so long ago that our life has fundamentally changed. And throughout the two campaigns that I've been doing for the last many months, I've been on the phone with a lot of people, a lot of voters, and the loneliness that came with people, the fear and the loneliness, especially among our senior population, has been really, really daunting. And along with that loneliness has come the mental health issues. People are raw, they're scared. And I said the other day, I remember when I was about 8 years old that I went through a thing where I thought the boogeyman was under my bed and I would dive on my bed. But it's like the COVID boogeyman is everywhere, and it's, making people a bit grumpier than they normally would be. It's making people sadder than they would be. It's making people lonelier than they would be. So Dr. Bonnie Henry, what she says about being kind to people, even if somebody, says something a little bit persnickety to you, just being kind and just knowing that we are all in this together. If we do what Dr. Bonnie Henry says that we should do, we will get through this, and we'll get through it, much more quickly if we listen to our experts. I am also going to say that we are in this unnecessary pandemic election. It was not necessary. Sonia Furstenau, when she was elected the leader, she connected with John Horgan and said we are willing to continue on for the duration of the confidence and supply agreement, which was going to take us to October 17th, 2021. So there was zero reason to call this election except for a power grab. And I find it really disingenuous to do this when people are worried about their mental health, their physical health, and their financial health. And our community, we know how many tourism businesses that we have. They rely on summer tourism and they are hurting. As I mentioned, I'm part of the Community Futures organization, and we were tasked with doling out the loans to business owners. Well, most of the business owners, if they don't know that they can keep their doors open, they don't want a loan, they want a grant. And the provincial government has a grant available that is now paused, that cannot roll out because we're in an election at this moment. So we should be working in the legislature to get these funds to these business owners so that they can have half a chance of keeping their doors open over the winter and into next summer.
Well, yes, we were hit with the pandemic and all the consequences and the responses that I think were in BC were guided by a very thoughtful plan based on science and medical knowledge. The politicians got out of the way, but supported the public health response, I think, in a way that has been complemented in other jurisdictions, and I think deservedly so. The challenges obviously had to do with where the restrictions, as they are called, or where what we needed to do as a response. And people called me upset about various aspects of the ministerial orders that were put in place to protect all of us. One of the obvious and first points of concern was the situation with long-term care, and our government took strong proactive measures to ensure that we did everything we could as soon as we could to ensure that workers worked in a single site, that their pay level was brought to parity, that workers were encouraged with COVID pay, and that we addressed the issues where holes had been put in our public health care system, especially in the long-term care system, which had been privatized over a series of the last 16 years. So our response included an important health response, and I think that health response needs to continue. Our economic recovery and our economic success through that recovery depends on us continuing with the thoughtful, science-based response to this pandemic. So people have brought to me concerns about ferries, about masks, about all the other things we've heard about throughout the province. And I think that reassurance to community members that the right people are in charge. They've shown themselves to be competent, and I think that our continued focus on making sure our communities are healthy will help us ensure that our economic recovery and our social recovery happens with strength.
We are at the closing part of our evening. Thank you so much for everyone who helped make this happen so far. But before we get into that, we have closing statements. So once again, I'm going to invite back Bill Forrest to say a couple words on behalf of Nicholas Simons. And the draw that we did for a speaking order is going to be Kim Darwin first, Sandra Stoddard Hansen second, and Bill Forrest on behalf of Nicholas Simons last. So Kim, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
So I'm running for the BC Green Party because they are the only party that I trust to proactively prioritize climate action, social well-being, and promote BC's economic opportunities to transition to a just economy. We're it. All the other parties up till now have just dabbled around the edges of authentic climate action and moved forward with fiscally irresponsible and climate destructive investments with our tax dollars. I have zero faith that they will suddenly change their stripes or their colors at this point, and we have no more time to lose. I want to remind everyone that a minority government works better for British Columbians. We had a partnership instead of partisanships. But John Horgan and the NDP tore up that in an attempt to achieve a majority government without any oversight from the Greens. We can do better, and we were doing better. Over the last 3.5 years, the BC Green Party has had what I believe to be the largest number of opposition party bills passed in the history of the BC legislature. We've shown just how much 3 Green MLAs can do to change the culture of the legislature. In fact, I vividly remember when the minority government agreement was being signed, and Andrew Weaver said something to the effect of, now the framework of a legislative bill can be brought forward and each party can put their pieces into it, forming a well-rounded cooperative bill. And I watched John Horgan's light bulb go off. Things had changed overnight from the 16 years with a majority government ramming through legislation while the opposition could just holler for their disagreement from across the floor. Let us never return to such an unhealthy majority government again. British Columbia needs the BC Green Party and our evidence-based lens that takes future generations into every decision-making and planning well beyond the 4-year election cycle. So vote for the BC Greens, vote for me to send a strong message that you expect a new approach for a new normal. And thanks again for putting on this event, and to everybody who's watching. Don't forget to vote.
Thanks, Kim. Over to Sandra Stoddard Hansen.
Well, thank you very much. And I'd like to use my time to talk a little bit about who I am and my experience and why I think I should be your MLA in Powell River Sunshine Coast. I have had a career that's kind of spanned 2 different areas. One that I talked about a little earlier in human resources as the head of human resources for Women's and Children's Hospital. I've also had the experience that I mentioned in justice as the head of human resources, but half of my career has been in the transportation area, primarily air transportation. I worked with Transport Canada for 12 years. I've been a transportation consultant. I've run an airport. I have also worked as a consultant, running my own business, doing consulting projects around the world, related mostly to air transportation, but marine and surface transportation as well. I have been very active in the volunteer sector my entire life, from working as the chair of an organization called Dress for Success, which collected interview appropriate clothing and provided it to low-income women who were entering the job market or re-entering the job market. I chaired something called the British Columbia Aviation Council, which advocated for and assisted the aviation industry, and they've done a remarkable job during COVID, as the aviation industry has been absolutely decimated by the impact of COVID on that industry. I've been a volunteer with the Canadian Power and Sail Squadrons and taught boating safety, taught advanced piloting. I have my certification as a Marine skipper for small craft from Transport Canada. I know transportation and I know HR. I know it's an unusual combination. And I think I could bring those skills to the legislature, to the party, working with a BC Liberal government. I think, did I run out of time, Kasia? Am I still good? I believe that the BC Liberal government have a proven track record of restoring the economy. When we took over from the NDP in 2001, we were number 10 in terms of economic performance in the country, in Canada. And by the end of the session, we were number 1. We can do that again.
Thank you, Sandra. And now over to Bill Forrest on behalf of Nicholas Simons.
Well, sorry again that I couldn't make it. I hope that I have an opportunity after October 24th, make sure you vote, that we can get together virtually or maybe eventually in person to talk about some of these issues and to maybe strategize on ways of overcoming some of the challenges that we're faced by the health pandemic. So I look forward to doing that, and I hope that people will exercise their democratic right to vote. I hope it's for me. I think that I can continue to work with influencing government in the right direction to pursue the goals that we share as Sunshine Coasters, and I thank you very much.
I want to thank all of the candidates for participating. I can say firsthand how hard these things are to do, but they are a vital part of our democracy. I also want to thank the VoiceLab executive for putting this all together. We are a small but committed bunch, and we're always looking for more people to help out. And finally, I want to thank you, the audience. This is your moment. The future of BC is now in your hands and in your ballot. You can vote in advance from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 15th to Wednesday, October 21st. There are 3 advanced voting locations on the Lower Sunshine Coast. One is the Gibsons Community Hall, 700 Park Road, and you can vote there on Thursday and Friday. You can also vote at the Legion in Madeira Park on Monday, October 19th and Wednesday, October 21st. However, the place that will be most open is the Seashelt Senior Center at 5604 Trail Avenue in Seashelt. That location is open for advanced voting from Friday, October 16th to Wednesday, October 21st. You can also vote at the District Electoral Office, also at the Seashelt Senior Center, from now until 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 24th. If you already have a mail ballot, you can also drop it there to ensure that it gets submitted on time. General voting day is on October 24th. From the entire VoiceLab team, I want to thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much, Matt. Good job.
Good job. Good night, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity.